Hello, this is a second video about this subject, the secret unit to curb lockdown dissent. In my previous video it was a reaction video. I saw the headline and I just started reading the article to you and giving you my instant response to it because I was so shocked by this. Now, of course, we knew that there was going to be some governmental interference in the information. It seems like the Telegraph is the only newspaper that's actually interested in finding these things out, though. And what really shocked me was the language the people used. Very Orwellian here, the counter disinformation unit. And you see, if you are a civil servant or as some sort of a government minister or whatever, and somebody says, all right, we want you to take part in the counter disinformation unit, of course you're going to feel good about that, aren't you? So you're in this unit, somebody sets it up, after that it's out of your hands. You have been invited to join the counter disinformation unit, and so you are dealing with domestic threats. You are helping people. You are being good. The fact that you're taking part in a secret operation that's being kept from the people, well, of course, they don't understand things the way you do. And that's how people think. It's not like any of these people were, it's not like any of these people were bad people. They just they are convinced they're right, and they use this sort of language which reinforces their conviction that they're right, and after that it just rolls along on its own energy. Inertia, that's the word. It says here, this is further down the article, the lockdown files published by the Telegraph earlier this year revealed that Matt Hancock, who was the health secretary until he disgraced himself, repeatedly lobbied Sir Nick Clegg, the former deputy prime minister and now a Facebook executive, about vaccine misinformation. You know, and misinformation, that means anything that involved a discussion of what's going on. And even now there is an online person called John Campbell who is still being pilloried and warned and probably suppressed somewhat for his views on a certain procedure, which I really shan't name. You'll know why from my previous video. If you watch it, I'll try and remember to put a link up somewhere, or at least in the description. Facebook has been open about its efforts to tackle misinformation about COVID. During the pandemic, it removed posts and in April 2020 alone put warning labels on about 50 million pieces of content. So, you know, Facebook at least wasn't hiding what it was doing. It said, our story, or the story we're getting from the government, is the right one, and anything else is misinformation, and so that's how we're going to treat it. That's what they were saying. The RRU, what's the RRU? Oh, during COVID, the unit worked closely with the Cabinet Office's now defunct RRU. I don't know what that U would be, unit, I suppose. All right, whose responsibilities included tackling purported experts issuing dangerous misinformation. And these purported experts were people like John Campbell and other medical specialists who disagreed with the orthodoxy. Well, before I carry on, I'll tell you I'm Granniopteryx on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds, also Twitter and Gab. All the links are in the description. Also the links to donation sites if you want to donate to this channel. But without going to any of those, just click that like button so that my algorithm is improved. Look, I don't really know how it works, but it's supposed to work, so please do it. The RRU has admitted in an FOI, Freedom of Information request, obtained by Big Brother Watch and passed on to the Telegraph that it made requests for social media posts to be taken down. As part of its work, the Cabinet Office also passed the CDU Media Monitoring Reports. CDU? Oh gosh. Well, you see, a part of the reason you feel good about being in these these groups, these little boards, these meetings, is it had a whole lot of cryptic initials, which you knew what they meant and other people didn't, and that made you feel good, didn't it? Documents revealed that the material flagged to the CDU included articles published by the Telegraph. Okay, so the Telegraph was in for trouble as well. One of these was a piece by Ms. Kingsley published in February 2022 arguing that it was indefensible that children's lives were still not back to normal when the rest of society was. She urged ministers to make a clear statement that children's extracurricular activities should not be subject to additional curbs. One of Miss Kingsley's tweets from December 2020, in which she said it would be unforgivable to close schools, was also passed to the CDU. Gosh, look at this advert here. I think, I keep telling you I keep changing the VPN every so often. I think I'm in Florida right now. Sir Gavin Williamson, then the Education Secretary, closed schools days later. However, he has since admitted that the decision caused a major row with Mr. Hancock and that he considered resigning. When the dispute was exposed by the Telegraph's lockdown files investigations, Sir Gavin said the closure wasn't done for the right reasons and he regretted agreeing to it. And that's the problem. You see, all of these conferences, these meetings, these secret sections of the government, they were all there full of people who thought they were doing the right thing because they'd given themselves the right words to describe their jobs. And the right words were threat and misinformation. There were other right words as well. People can convince themselves of almost anything if they use the right words. You also logged articles by Prof Hennigan, published in the Telegraph and the Spectator. You see, both considered right-wing organs, and they are the only ones who are publishing these things. Whereas the liberal press, the press that considers itself liberal and open to good ideas and new ideas, they were, head down. Well, all three monkeys at the same time. One of those questioned the science behind the rule of six, later abandoned by the government. Now, that was a nutty idea, no more than 6 people in any particular meeting, and discredited the data used by the government to justify the second lockdown. So, why were they doing this? Well, as I said, it was a self-reinforcing loop. They were in these secret meetings, they were using these words, they were regarding the mass of people as a bit hysterical, and not, when they were the ones who were hysterical, a bit hysterical and therefore not capable of making sensible decisions, and they thought they were doing this for our good. A Conservative MP said any attempt by governments to shut down legitimate debate is hugely concerning, but to discover the DCMS, whatever they are, actively sought to censor the views of those who were speaking up for children's welfare is truly chilling. It is becoming increasingly clear that many of the foundations of our democracy, such as free speech and parliamentary scrutiny, were completely disregarded during the pandemic. I don't think they were completely disregarded. I think the people in government got carried away by their own by their own sense of self-importance and their sense that they had the truth. We've got this problem with truth, haven't we? A Whitehall source said the comparison with China was just plain wrong. On the contrary, the unit was set up to counter the threats disinformation poses to, among other things, UK national security, much of which is spread by hostile states. So he's right, or she's right, whoever the source is. They know best. They were doing it for the right reasons. That's how they can do their job and go back to their homes and get a good night's sleep. You see, this whole point, the word disinformation turns up a lot in this article. And yeah, you see, this person here, this source said, no, we were doing it for the right reasons. It's not like China. But you see, in China, they're doing it for the right reasons as well, because communism is the thing you have to have for society to progress and to work properly. That's how the Communist Party of China looks at it. And so, because of that, they can suppress information, they can order people around, they can put non-conformists in concentration camps. This is all for the good of society. That's what the Chinese communists think, because they too have families and friends and their own sympathies. They are all good people in their own eyes. They are doing this for the general good. And that's what this person is saying as well. It isn't on the contrary. In comparison with China is just plain wrong. No. The unit was set up to counter the threats disinformation poses to UK national security, much of which is spread by hostile states. Yeah, I believe that. But this is the problem, disinformation. If people can't talk about things, then they can't work out what is disinformation. They can just pass stories, you know, in secret, in code, like I have to do sometimes on YouTube videos, when I have to say that instead of talking about that for children in schools. Okay, Jacob Rees-Mogg, the former cabinet minister, and he's a former cabinet minister because he resigned, and he resigned because he doesn't like the way this government is conducting itself, by the way, called for COVID inquiry to investigate government disinformation units. I just wonder how much he knew about that when he was a minister. It's clear from Hancock's messages that steps were taken to manipulate public opinion, and now it appears underhand methods may have been employed to stop free speech. This is not what ought to happen in a free country, and indeed it isn't. But when a minister has convinced himself that he's doing it for the good of the country, then he's a good guy. All right, well, I think I'll stop there. Till next time.
Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.